Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Untier Talk. It's fun and games to be had by all. Today I'm joined by my regular co-host Tajad.
What's up?
It's- That's a very good intro, Tajad. You should be proud of that. How long did you spend practicing What's Up?
um, I'm sort of concentrating, so yeah, that's all you gotta get out of me for an intro. So
All right, that's fine. We got another person. We have the man, the myth, the legend, the dude who can schedule a podcast appearance but not his own finals game. Sam, I am.
What's going on, guys? Long time listener, first time caller. Glad to be on the show.
Hey, no one's used that yet. That's good. That's good. I like that. So, exhibition ended, and it ended with an activity call, which is why you're not hearing me sound very hype about it at all. I don't sound hype in general. I can't be that loud.
That was epic.
So yeah, the one team, I don't actually remember the name of the team. It's the one with Katut and Ziri versus your team. You're on the Magnets.
Yeah, there's the elites, I believe.
The Elites, okay.
oh, the elites, yeah.
They were up 4-3 with the only game left being you versus Ziri, and
Yes.
you had never you failed to schedule Ziri, and they ended it on an activity call, and their team won. You want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I mean, obviously disappointing way to end the tournament. Yeah, I'd actually kind of wanted to sub for finals going into it, but that wasn't really an option. So kind of tried to schedule to the best of my abilities, and we had definitely different time zones, and I wasn't sure what time I was going to be available on the weekend and stuff. But either way, it ended up with me losing the slot there. So wish we probably could have subbed someone in or had an extension since it was the finals. But what can you do?
Yeah, I don't know. I knew it was going to be a tough game because don't get me wrong, you and Ziri are never exactly easy to schedule within PU, but
Yeah.
to actually just have it come down to the activity call, just because you were busy with IRL stuff, that's a bit of an unfortunate thing, and
Yeah,
just
it's a
a
bummer.
weird way, a weird way to wrap up a really weird tour.
Yeah,
I'm glad we got an exhibition. I'm glad we got to interact with the metas. It was fun,
Mhm.
but I'm also very
Yeah.
glad that we also have Slam and maybe Snake and stuff because
Yeah.
this was just weird.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I mean that whole thing was kind of just shambolic, wasn't it? It was just I honestly would have preferred for there to be a 1 to even a half week extension, if not just a sub.
Yeah,
and just to end
I
with-
don't know about the activity call, but
Honestly, I'd rather have seen somebody hacks the shit out of Zeri, or the other way around. I'd rather have seen that.
yeah.
Yeah, at least have something.
Yeah, so either way, it's an unfortunate scenario to be in. But hey,
We did have a finals
Jordan.
game, the one extra game of exhibition that we haven't analyzed.
Yeah, I thought it
There's-
was all right.
There's just not much here, to be honest. I have a very hard time describing this game, to be honest, because
yeah, I'll tell you exactly what happens in this game. So basically, me and Vagtron, we were talking about the finals game.
yeah, for the record, this is
Well,
Katut versus Robert Alphonse.
Yeah, so Katut versus Robert Alphonse. Me and Robert Alphonse, we were talking about his game versus Katut after we played for the seeded tour, because he really needed teams, and that team just didn't really have that much team bonus. But as you said, Sam was quite busy, and he didn't really trust anybody else's teams on that team. So he said, "Do you have anything?" Well, he said to me, "Do you have anything that he can use in the finals?" And I said, "Yeah, I have a bunch of teams." So I gave him a selection of a few teams that I had in my builder. I built a couple of teams, but none were really decent. Especially with Houndoom meta going on, I was sort of finding it struggling to build a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, the team that he ended up going with is the that Stoutland Dodrio normal spam style of team,
Mhm.
and unfortunately for him, he brought something which was actually just generally strong. You don't want to play you don't want to use Stoutland versus a Tangela and a Probopass. Like that's kind of a hard matchup. And then on top of that, Kata had a few like neat mons that really helped him in that matchup in general as well. Like it's just in general it was weird because it was like he had like I think it was support Lantern versus AV Lantern. That's not a matchup that you want either. So it's just in general it was a bit of a rough matchup for him. I think he could have potentially done a bit more with Frostlass. Frostlass then breaking with then Stoutland like with the spikes pressure, and then maybe having a cleaning opportunity with the Scarf Dodrio. But honestly, like if you look at the game, like Kata starts it and then the momentum just never shifts. There was never a point where I was thinking like, oh shit.
I feel like a pretty big tipping point was the Metang Tangela exchange where I think he had probably HP Fire it was, and he caught him with that on the EQ where he was like predicting something to catch the Toxic or something like that. I feel like after that he was probably a little bit ahead before that anyway, but after that it was really kind of just like a spiral.
Yeah. I had a hard time describing because don't get me wrong, I think Gatot has a very excellent matchup here, and he just played it completely solidly, and this is kind of just like Katot's thing where the matchup just really heavily favors him. Handles pom-pom very well, handles normal spam very well, just not a lot. But at the same time, there are definitely some weird plays for Robert Alphonse. There was the one point where he switches out Stoutland instead of Facading again, where it's like Facade was just going to 2-hit KO Tangela, and then he switches out, and I'm really I can't tell what he's predicting.
Yeah.
There was like the EQ on Tangela I just don't like, even if you're predicting him to switch out for a Toxic. Like, I don't know. I want to say that he needed to play more offensively, but that's so hard when your matchup is just like this annoying. Scarf Skunk is really checking the things. Scarf Dodrio really not cleaning up here. Pom-pom walled by Lantern. It's just hard. I don't know what you're going to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Skunk is a good pick. Sam did point that out because if Stout or Dodrio lock themselves into non-stab moves, so like jump kick in Dodrio's case or superpower in Stout's case, the Skunk can just come in and pursuit trap, essentially for free at that point.
You also didn't give him dark resists, so I mean he has a bad matchup, but how much of that is just like no dark resist is a little weird.
I think the team is sort of based around having like. Using Lantern as the dark resist in quotation marks for the Alolan Persian, and then using Pom Pom for the what's it called, the Skunk. But obviously, when Pom Pom's under pressure, that's a tough thing to do.
Yep.
Yeah, and Lantern just couldn't his fat lefty's Lantern is going to beat your Lantern and the Pom Pom, and it's like that's already just a huge yikes, which is why I didn't think there was a lot to say with this replay, because I don't know, man. It was it was very tough.
There were outs. I think it would be a disservice to the team to say there weren't ways that he could win the game, because in my opinion, if Vagtron had played the Spikes War better, there was room for Stoutland to break. And that's obviously given a few technicalities. But I can't reasonably see a huge way that he's going to be playing that much better to get up Spice and really breaking this team. I agree that there are outs to play better, but Katut wasn't playing badly and has such a massive head start. I don't know where you're going with that. Yeah, that's the problem. Really, it's there was an out, but the out was so small and especially a good player is not going to give you that opportunity to win based on that out, because they'll know just as well as you do that that's your only out. So Kata already knew based on the matchup this is the only way he's going to be winning. That's just a tough one, really, I think. Okay. So I guess that just kind of, unless do you guys want to say any wrap-up thoughts on Exhibition or anything else, or? We should probably go through the records, actually, yeah. They don't have, I wanted to look at the sheet, and they're like, well, they don't have easy records for each player.
I'm like, well, I give up.
By team.
Yeah, we could go through by team. But that's going to take a while. It's probably going to be a shorter episode. That's okay, though. There's not much else to talk about. Let me just grab the sheet from the Exhibition Discord. So here, I just linked that in the thing.
All right, yep, cool.
So Fossils had this was a weird season because they started out with Evagero Ryza, which on paper should have been like a pretty solid little core, and then that didn't. I'm sorry, what did you say?
We rated them top 1, didn't we?
Yeah, no, we rated them top 1, and they never found their footing, which I did not expect, and they ended up tossing in 49. I think Ham at some point.
Yep.
Was it just 49 and Ham? Did anyone else play P?
Yeah, no, it was 49 and Ham.
Yeah.
It was just 49 and Ham. Yeah, and a bit of EV, but that was it. Ham played well, from what I remember. From what I remember, he beat Kitut, I think.
Yeah, no, Ham did pretty solidly.
Yes.
He had the Boufflant showing. I think he was the only person to take a game off Kitut.
Wow.
Yeah, I think he did pretty well, especially given the scenario where it's like he had to get taken out of another tier to play in PU because the original PU core wasn't doing too well.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of sad that Galbia never got a game, even if it was just a meme game. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what are you gonna do? It's not a big deal.
I would have to wonder. I do not remember Ham versus K-Tut, but I wonder just because we've seen the games. I do remember K-Tut just doing his thing where he gets a lot of crazy good matchups that puts him really far ahead, and I wonder if Ham just kind of avoided that by being a person.
Being a PU, mate.
Yeah, how are you gonna get a good matchup versus Ham unless you're really lucky? Where are you gonna pick up a good matchup from? But I do not remember. I'd have to go see.
Yeah, I feel like I remember it being pretty clean and like a pretty even matchup both ways. I don't really remember what it was, but I don't remember it being one-sided in any way with hacks or matchup.
Yeah, I don't know. And Kitut's also just played well this season, so there's definitely more to it than just that. But it's just an idle thought. Guardians are the next team. The Guardians also just switched around their PU slot an awful lot. They started they didn't really draft any PU mains except Manny, who went 0-4 after getting subbed in late. Pills, I guess, I don't know if he's supposed to be a PU main or not. Manny went 0-4. Pills went 0-2. Ima went 1-4, which was one of those was in Monotype, I think. He beat Robert Alphonse with that screens. Was that the one he won with god awful screens? No, I don't think so. I think he lost with the bad screens.
No,
he
had a decent balance team. I think that was the one team that he won with decent balance.
Yeah, he had the decent balance. Passion went 2-1 in PU. Wins versus Tasker and Evagero, losses to Kushalo, so not bad. Passion, definitely someone who can pull out PU wins. And Lax
played for
Lax. Yeah, Lax beat Ryza, lost to TJ, and then never got back into. Then played Ubers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think these have. These don't have any of the playoffs games, so this is just pre-playoffs on the sheet. So we'd have to look back. I'm gonna go check who made playoffs. If you guys want to talk about the next team.
Okay. Well, coincidentally, the winners, the elites, they're the next team, and as a team, they were actually one of the only teams that stuck with the whole PU core for the entire thing, wasn't it?
No, both Kitut and Ziri took some games off, but only because they were doing well, not because Kitut and Ziri weren't.
Yeah.
They were doing well that they didn't need to play Kitut and Ziri, I think, or maybe they were busy. It wasn't because their players had problems or anything.
Yeah. So they were the main two. You draft them and they stuck in that PU slot, their best PU slot for the entire time. And in the regular season, they both went 5-1. So that's quite impressive. And then they ended up winning both games in finals. And I don't know what happened in semis. I think
in semis, Kitut won, but Ziri lost. So their final records. So their final
This actually
records
does include,
are
finals.
yeah no. Oh, this one does include finals. Never mind. It's because those
Yeah.
other two teams didn't make it to finals. So Katut ending 5-1. Took 3 weeks off in the middle. It was directly after the loss to Ham, so maybe they're like, "Oh, you lost one game," but that wouldn't make sense because he won three. Like he won 3 weeks, then lost to Ham, then
Yeah, it
didn't
was
play
his
weeks
choice for
5,
sure.
6, 7. Came back to win in semis, win in finals. Ziri also took a break in several weeks, going 5-1.
Started 4-0.
Yeah, so Katat 5-1, Ziri 5-1. Good showing from them both. I think I can't really point to any of their games. Like, there weren't really many exhibition games. Like that was like really flashy and pretty cool and crazy. But they both just like held down the fort pretty solidly. And yeah, I don't recall also who played PU in the meantime when Katat and Ziri were subbed out. Let's see, Drud went 1-2.
Yeah.
Only beating Zaya when Zaya brought mono normal. So not a great season for Drud. Like losing 2 games versus like opponents who were trying. And where on this sheet?
Roses maybe?
Check
Roses played I think a game versus Tony.
Yeah, okay, Roses played 1 game versus Tony Flygon and lost. That's still not
TCR played, I think, 1 game versus TJ.
TCR played and beat TJ and beat X-Line. That might have been PU. I think X-Line played PU at some point.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'd have to go.
Sure.
Anyway, like Katut and Ziri were the main stories here. So, Fire Dogs. Fire Dogs made it to semis, but not due to their PU core. They had some PU problems. Okay, Rexus had like a pretty fine 5-3 considering he'd like just not really played PU before at all. That's pretty respectable. And he's gotten to PU since then, so looking forward to see if he can pull out a bigger one. But Tasker, most expensive PU buy, I believe, going 1-6.
PUBKC.
Yeah, and only beat 49 as well, who's just not your typical PU main. Beat 49. Losses to Passion, Exaline, Lycans, LST, Katut, and TJ. That's tough, man.
Yeah, I mean, the first few weeks were pretty hard. Like, TJ's always going to be a tough game. Katut, we know Katut's good. LST is obviously very good player. Lycans as well. So like when you start 0-4 like that, like they're all hard.
Yeah, he
just lost them individually.
He had a very hard lineup. Like the first, like pretty much everyone he played, and with the exception of Exaline, I think is definitely going to be quite a tough opponent. And yeah, I'm pretty sure Exaline wasn't. No, I mean he beat Tasker. I thought he'd like wasn't trying at all when he went PU, but he beat Tasker, so who knows? Yeah, but yeah, it's a hard bracket, but like it's a team tour, and Tasker's supposed to be good. You got to manage to stand out. So it's unfortunate. Tasker's better than that, and he'll bounce back next tour. I've gone 0-5. I've gone 0-5, so it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, we can. Rex also did well. We talked about him. He went 5-3, but I think the key thing here is that when Tasker started doing badly and he got subbed out, JMash wasn't the one who got subbed in, and it was HMNIP.
Yeah, Tasker subbed out for semis, and HMNIP went in, taking the loss versus Zaya, who's not a very impressive player whatsoever. Zaya actually, like, he brought mono normal that one time. He did take the win in semis, but it was not a very... Like, that game was... we analyzed it. It was very stupid. I don't think Zaya played well, and I don't...
Yeah.
None of Zaya's PU games have ever made an impression on me. Maybe he's better at ZU. I don't know, but yeah, that's... I don't know. Zaya played 2 games this season. No, I'm sorry. He played 3 games this season, and he went 1-2. And his win was versus HMNIP in that stupid game, but losses to Drud and Haysup was in LC. So he went 1-1 with the loss to Drud bringing mono normal, and then the win versus HMNIP. So that's not too bad for him. But that's because we move on to the Magnets. And the Magnets, you had Exaline also played like a tiny bit of PU, subbed in, went like 1-1 in PU, I think, or No, just 1-0 versus... No, 1-1. Win versus Tasker, loss versus TCR. But obviously the big starters were Robert Alphonse and Sam I Am.
That's right.
Robert with a very average 4-4.
4-4 is decent. Like, especially if you look at some of his wins, like he beat LST, beat Riser, beat Lycans, beat TJ, and then he sort of tilted, I think, a little bit.
Yeah, his losses were against Ima and Rexus twice, and is the other loss not filled in?
He lost versus Katut in finals, and I think they gave him the. He usually got the harder opponent than I did, I think, which also has to do with his kind of more even record.
Yeah, generally, like, apart from the semifinals and the finals loss, like, I think he did pretty decent. Like, he if you look at a lot of the games with the magnets, like, you see there was like 5 threes, 3 fours. Apart from the 1 week, I think you played us. Oh no, you played us in the fossils. Those are the only 2 weeks that weren't 5-3 and 3-4. So, we got a lot of
kind of
got wins, I guess.
A little unlucky. It's okay. We'll give it to you that time. It's fine. You actually had a pretty solid record. Week 1 versus Kushalos definitely got pretty lucky. Like that game was
for sure.
Very silly, but still.
That entire week was like shit. Every single game that week was shit because of Minior.
Yeah, you had 1 activity loss and 1 dead game. But if you remove those for the games you actually played, you went 3-1, perfectly respectable.
And I would have liked to have played.
No, I'm sorry, 3-2. No, 3-1. Yeah. Because Ziri was activity.
And also, I got sub versus H and MIP, and I would have felt pretty confident in playing that one too. So, it would have been cool to kind of see if I would have. I feel like I probably would have won those 3. So it would have been nice to be able to play them, but I
don't know what happened there. Like, you started off pretty strong. You had a win versus Kushalos, loss versus Evagero, and then you beat Osh and Manny. And then after the dead game versus Tony Flygon, you kind of just went out for several weeks, and you never played again. The last game you played was week 4. That was 1, 2, 3, 4. That was 5 weeks ago. Jesus.
Well, we were trying to play for the week I played for Tony Flygon. I think he just went to sleep and then didn't show up back before the deadline.
Yeah.
And then for some reason they rolled a dead game instead of. Either way, I would have just rather play, but. And then I just ended up having to get subbed out versus the other guy on the HN, whatever his team was. Had to get subbed out against him, and I don't know. It's all good.
Yeah, it is what it is. Okay, Island Toppers. That was the team run by me and Jed, so we kind of know this. Kushalos went 4-2, and both of his losses were kind of unlucky. Kushalos is the GOAT. I'm pretty happy. LST went 4-3, perfectly solid performance. LST, he's nice, and he needs the more games. And then that one game that Kush didn't play because he played one less game. Oh, yeah, that was Snaga. Yeah, he choked versus he should have had the win versus TJ. He had a big choke, which is unfortunate. Yeah. Snaga is good enough to start PU on his own, but when we already had Kush and LST doing pretty well, it was just hard to fit him in. That one game kind of sucked, but he was also busy because he's managing SPL at the same time, I think.
Yeah.
And that's a little more important than exhibition, especially when it was very clear early on, like we weren't going to be qualifying.
Yeah.
And Kush really probably should be 5-1 because the game versus me, he had I don't know what the odds were to win, but it was probably more than 70-75% chance.
Yeah, it is what it is. He still had a very good positive PU record.
Yeah, it's still great.
Yeah, I think so far the best records we've seen, obviously Katut and Ziri with the 5-1s are the top records. After that, I think Kush's 4-2 is the best we've seen. I'm just checking back real quick. I don't see.
I'm just looking ahead. Shane went 4-1.
Okay, so Shane did better with 4-1, and then that's it for better PU records. PU is actually a very even setup, and I think that especially helped because even the players that did especially well, Katut and Ziri, only played 6 out of their 9 weeks or whatever. So
right,
there was plenty of room for people to go pretty even. Second last team was the Snackers. This one was managed by Teddy and Dibbs, so you again had the PU managing support. Likens was a pretty interesting story. He went 0-3 the first 3 weeks, really struggled, but then he went 4-0 the last 4 weeks and ended up with a 4-3 record, which I thought was pretty impressive.
Almost clutch playoffs for them as well. Like they were so close to getting into playoff contention.
Yeah.
Which would have been interesting to see because I think at that point they'd sorted out PU completely because Likens and Shane, like for the last few weeks, they'd won pretty much every game. I think they went 7-0 the last.
Yeah, they just had they had hard starters. Like Likens went 4-3. Likens lost the first 3 weeks. Osh lost the first 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Shane also had a loss in the first 2 weeks. He shoved in for Osh in 1 week. But then after those first 3 weeks, they figured it out. And starting week 4, they went 8-0 in PU. Likens beating Tasker, Ima, Ham, and Mel 2-4-0-2. And then Shane beating Rexus, Pills, Eva Guerrero, and TJ. An even more impressive slot of wins. Like Shane straight up going 4-0 against those 4 opponents is actually very, very impressive.
Yeah.
And that's the third best PU record, second best off the elites, so not bad at all.
Yeah, I mean, he was very good. Like, if you watched his games, like, most of them were incredibly clean. And sometimes, like, because you'd bring offense more often than not. And you remember that game versus Pills where it was like, he had no psychic resistance, still won. Like,
yeah.
That's how Shane.
I was impressed. Again, not like super flashy stuff, but just very solid stuff backed up with like he's a solid builder, backed up by good builders and strong shit right there.
Yep.
Okay, last team, the Drakes. Let's see. So yeah, they also had weird PU slots. TJ was like the expected one. He went 4-4 with a perfectly solid record.
Yeah, he went 4-0 and then 0-4, I think.
Wait, did? Oh, yeah. You're right, he did. That's unfortunate. In the first 4 weeks, he beat Tasker, Lax, Eva Guerrero, and Snaga, which is a very solid win, like a very, very solid record. But then the last 4 weeks, losses to Robert Alphonse, TCR, Shane Gould, and Katut. All hard opponents, but yeah, that's definitely got to hurt. Tony Flygon ended up pulling out the 3-3
with a dead game. Yeah, I don't know.
With
how
one
he did
dead,
that.
yeah, that was.
His
wins were versus Teal 6 and Roses and Ziri. Teal 6 and Roses like are also not really major PU players, but getting the win in semis versus Ziri is nothing to sneeze at. So there's that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And let's see, someone else played PU. Oh, Mel. Mel 2402 took the loss to Likens in week 7.
Mm-hmm.
And
that makes sense. That's the other 8. That's the 8 on both sides.
Yeah, that's the 8 on both sides.
1 week, right? Week 3.
Oh, you're right. Kingler did play 1 week.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, he played versus Ryza.
Yeah, Kingler actually beat Ryza. That game was stupid. Like, Kingler got really lucky. That was the game where he just dodged, like, several fire blasts versus Ryza Simi Seer. I was like, well, what are you going to do? So, yeah, PU overall pretty even. Katut and Ziri, big standouts. Kush and Shane Gould, also solid records. A lot of people mostly went even. And then your big bad records would be Tasker with that one unfortunate 1-6 and Manny going 0-4 as well. Definitely not what he'd be looking for, but I don't know that Manny necessarily like expects more out of himself or like he was not really meant to be a big starter, whereas for Tasker to get that is definitely like I hope he bounces back. You know, he made circuit finals. He's obviously a good player. I think he will, but you know, it's never fun to run to those records.
Yeah.
Yep. Is that it? I think that is it. Well, that's it on terms of the exhibition stuff.
Yeah, it's already half an hour, so we're not going to do that much more. Sam,
we don't.
Well, we got a guest here, so Sam, is there anything you would be interested in sharing your opinion on? And if not anything specific, then I can just throw out a topic, which is just that. Obviously, Hajad and I have had plenty of time to talk about Houndoom in the last 2 weeks. Anything you want to say?
Broken. We might need to suspect that.
Anything you want to say now that it's been banned, since you haven't had this platform? We're giving it to you now.
I would say, and I probably thought this before we even got the drops. I think Lilligant is probably the most problematic thing, just because it's really hard to basically prepare for without bringing like 3 different things and then having to go into them in the right order on depending on what set it is. So I think that's the biggest thing. I think it would be cool if that did get banned. I think Houndoom could probably get resuspected then, possibly, especially considering if we were to get things like Guzzlord and stuff in the tier, then I think that'd be a lot easier to convince people of. But yeah, I'd like to see Lily get looked at probably next.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely going to discuss it. I know people have brought it up, like high-profile people like yourself and Dundee's. Frankly, I think a Lilligant suspect would be fine. There's nothing wrong with people being able to decide if they would like want to ban something. But if I had to vote right now, unquestionably, do not ban. So that's definitely that's not that like that's just because I vote do not ban doesn't mean I don't think it's okay to suspect. But just throwing it out there that like I do not feel as strongly about Lilligant as I know a lot of other people do. So there's that, but
local PU Bandhammer here would like Lilligant gone as well. Yeah. Here's the thing, like with Lilligant, it's like, okay, here's a set of Pokemon that check Lilligant, and if you don't have 2 of them, you lose to Lilligant. Like, it's just kind of like it's just kind of weird in that way. I'm not really too big a fan of it. Although, if you do have 2 of them on your team, like you won't struggle versus Lilligant. The struggles really happen when you either play badly and lose those checks, or Lilligant does something. I mean,
yeah, and it is unquestionably a problem that like we have systematically lost many Lilligant checks over the course of the metagame. That's like a huge reason as to why it's a problem. Is because the things we've lost.
It was like B rank, wasn't it?
I think it might have been B rank, but I think that might have been too low. Like we raised it, but then if you think about the things we lost, Alolan Exeggutor, Pyroar, Magmortar, Archeops, Ferroseed, obviously HP Fire, but still like that constricts what Lilligant can run. Guzzlord, Miltank. I don't know, Torterra? Piloswine with Ice Shard? Am I forgetting anything?
We had Piloswine for a bit.
Let me look at the NU tier list, see if I'm forgetting anything that rose. I said Magmortar. Yeah, I said Magmortar. Silvally Steel, I guess. We had that. Oh, Togedemaru, I forgot. Also, Wheezing to an extent, I guess, was a bit of a check, but nah. But yeah, like, Lilligant is definitely the kind of mon that's like, well, when we ban all these things, then it becomes worse. But it's really more the things that rose by usage, not the stuff we banned. Because like the stuff we banned checked it. Like, don't get me wrong, Alolan Eggy and Charizard were Lilligant checks, but the big problem is just, you know, when Wheezing rises, and Togedemaru, and Torterra, and Piloswine, and Ferroseed, and Guzzlord, it's like, Jesus, can we keep some shit, please? Plus,
yeah.
So yeah, we'll look at Lilligant. There's 2 weeks till the tier shift, so there is time. But this, you know, I don't know. I'll have to talk to the rest of the council. We will have to talk to the rest of the council.
I saw you had posted those other, or no, that was Sajad that posted that in the chat about those other things that were potentially dropping. Did you want to talk about those as well?
We can hit it briefly. I don't think there's a lot of room for speculation, but sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think most of them would probably get banned or are already banned.
Yeah, I know off the top of my head.
Yeah, so for people who don't know what we're talking about, if you look at the usage stats for this month, March, the usage stats that were posted that had Houndoom quick dropping, they also showed a bunch of Pokemon that would be, like, if their usage was the same in, like, the overall 3-month aggregate, then they would drop, but, you know, it's only, like, 1 month of March, so they didn't drop. But next month we have the full tier shifts, and there is potential for us to get Torterra, Malamar, Cinccino, Hitmontop, Hitmonlee, Ferroseed, Gallade, Guzzlord, Kingler, Cryogonal, and Minior. Minior and Kingler and Gallade would all go directly to PUBL. I think Malamar was only banned during Alpha. I'm going to have to double...
That's what...
I'm going to double check that right now. I'm pulling up...
I think it was banned. I remember there was a whole kerfuffle about Z Happy Hour.
Yeah, but that was only during Alpha. Yeah, okay. Malamar was not actually banned from PU. Malamar would come to PU. I think Malamar would probably just end up being broken, but not like maybe not quick ban worthy. I don't know.
Rest talk.
Hitmonlee would be very stupid. Cinccino potentially stupid. But we could certainly, I think it'd certainly be cool to be getting Torterra, Hitmontop, Cryogonal, Ferroseed, Guzzlord, like more defensive mons we could really use. We don't need more stupid offensive things. So in that sense, I think this would be a cool shift, but frankly, I don't even like these debates. I just, because then it gets people's hopes up. Like, we've had a lot of debates about what's going to drop to PU, and then we get like just Probopass and nothing else, and we lose like two mons that everyone loved, and it's like, well, fuck me. And I just don't get your hopes too far up, please.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm kind of interested to see how Guzzlord fits into the whole meta thing, because I think it's going to be a similar scenario to how Hariyama used to function, where you want it in the tier because Assault Vest offered you so much defensively, but Flame Orb was stupid, so it was like a balancing act. I wonder how the scales in terms of Guzzlord sets will also like happen, or how they'll work out.
Yeah, because specs and even bans look very, very strong, but at the same time, obviously, Lilligant checks, fire checks, things like that would be very nice.
Yeah, it didn't have knock last time, right?
Yeah, it also did not have knockoff, so that would be pretty spoopy.
Yep.
Okay, so I think it's about time to move into the final segment. It's already been a good 35 minutes or so we're going to go into everybody's favorite bit of Untier talk, the Jad's Gimmick Corner. I could probably get a jingle or something, I guess, because that would definitely take too much effort.
Yeah, I mean, well, there's not really much to talk about. But now that Doom is gone, I feel like one of my old favorite sets has sort of, can now regain a bit of popularity. If you don't know what I'm talking about DD Altaria with Dragonium Z.
I know.
Because that one, it was low-key nice. Like, in general, it had a bunch of defensive utility that you could use. It wasn't that weak. I mean, it was really weak. But I mean, with Drag Z Outrage plus Adamant Nature, on top of like +1 from coming from Dragon Dance, you do damage. You're not hitting. You're not a paper towel like you normally would be. So it's actually quite a fun mod. Like it avoids a lot of your typical revenge kills. So if, for example, you can Dragon Dance on a let's say you Dragon Dance for free on something, and then Primate comes into revenge kill you with Stone Edge. If you Dragon Dance again, you actually stall it out of Stone Edges with Roost, which is quite amusing, I guess you can say. It also takes advantage of the fact that most Alola Slash are like Spadef. They're not actually Fizdef, so you do a bunch of damage to that. I don't remember exactly the count. I think it was 70%. But in general, I think it's a pretty cool thing that I don't think people are using it.
I don't hate the idea, so that's the plus.
Thank God. Apparently I was lying. It does 57 to 68, so average about 60-ish% on a load slash, which is ridiculously weak, but
yeah,
it's still it's a fun thing.
All right.
Oh yeah, fuck Regirock.
Yeah, well that's definitely a problem. Sam, any I know we had you on as a guest in like a very slow week where there's not a lot to do. To be fair, you asked to come on. We weren't like, oh shit, we need a guest for this week. So you got the week. But is there anything else you'd like to say before we wrap up this week's episode?
I mean, I'm looking forward to definitely looking forward to Slam and then potentially Snake. So hopefully get to see a lot of the people we were able to have some games with an exhibition, show up there, and it'll be a good turnout.
Slam and Snake they're not coming around for. Well, Snake's still potential. Slam's not coming around for. Let me see. When's Slam happening?
Oh, it's gonna be here before you know it.
Yeah, trust me, dude. Slam.
It's not that.
Dude, have you ever tried playing all of the slams?
Slam's not till June. Slam is mid-June. Okay, Slam starts June 17th. It is March 18th.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can close your eyes. It'll be.
That's 3 months. That's not. That's a quarter of the year. That is a quarter of the. That's like as long as Smash Ultimate's been out.
Wow. Wait, when's PUPL?
Soonish, isn't it? May?
No.
Early May?
No, PUPL is also kind of later. Like PUPL should slot in like before. Oh fuck, I don't even remember off. I can also. We've posted the PU tour schedule. What that's looking like. All right, hang on. PUPL early June.
Early June. All right.
So it'll actually hit around the same time as Slam, which there's too many tours to not have some overlap. So I'm not too concerned about that. Because I think a lot of the people going for Slam, like I think a lot of people in PUPL will want to hit Slam, but a lot of people go to Slam without like even thinking about PUPL. So it shouldn't be too bad.
Epic side note, I was looking through my builder just now, and my Wobbuffet team is still legal, so good times.
So you had a telepathy Wobbuffet team?
Yes.
Okay, now that's epic.
With fighting,
that's just average Hajad. Oh boy.
It was with spikes, all right. So the whole idea was with Wobbuffet, you force things out with spikes, and then you just sort of keep doubling about it.
But it's defog fodder. Because they don't want to take the counter coat, so they're like, "Well, I'm just going to switch to something that can handle it." That's so dumb, though. All right, thank you all for listening to another episode of Untier Talk. Sam, I am. You can follow him at PU Council. Because that's where he be. I always like doing fake plugs. I don't know why. It's not that funny. It's just something I like to do.
Appreciate it.
We'll see you next week.
Actually, no. I know exactly where you can follow Sam. Sam, don't you have a Christian Mingle account that you need to plug or something?
All right. Yeah, we'll see you all next week. Thanks for listening. Peace out. Have a lovely day. Avoid Christian Mingle. It's just for your own good.
1993. We'll see you guys on there.